Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Fox business journalist Eleanor Terrett has reported information from a source, an industry insider, who says that Binance is, quote, celebrating what is a crushing defeat for the SEC, end quote. And I'll give you the full context as we get a little bit into the video, but I'll just tell you, with some of the cases, actually, actually, all the cases that I can think of that are have been unfolding this year, having to do with crypto, all the ones I can think of anyway, there's just been devastating blows. Like if you're following what's happening in the news, and I've been happily reporting on it on my channel here, it's just the judges, they don't have patience for this crap. And so it just seems to me like the SEC has just gotten to this point where it's just this disgusting blob of an organization. They think they can get away with whatever the hell they want, not acting in faithful allegiance to the law. And so they're behaving in that way. But what's happening is when they actually get to court, they get bitch smacked down. Like the little baby back Beatrice that they are. And it's a delight to see. I'm happy to report on it. I'm happy to report on this. But still, it's gross the way that they're behaving here. So I'm going to give you the specifics on this, the latest on this. And I got perspective also from attorney James Murphy. Always appreciate his insight, as well as attorney Bill Morgan. And then there was also separately this headline from the Daily Huddle, and I find this topic very interesting. Also, does have to do with the SEC. Look at this. Bloomberg analyst outlines theories on BlackRock's move to file Bitcoin ETF. Here's his outlook. And so I was talking literally just the other day, and covering this news about this the BlackRock ETF out there. Like, the confluence of events here could be incredible, in particular for XRP holders, as the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit comes to an end. Obviously, we had the bottom of the bear market in November of last year, unless there's a wild card event, and then fine, maybe we go lower. But I'm highly skeptical of that unless we have some sort of wild card event. So we've got that, and we know that BlackRock jumping in, which is the world's largest asset manager, going to bring that much more money into crypto, unquestionably. I don't think that you could reasonably argue that that won't happen. And so all this happening at the same time, it's a good time to be an XRP holder so far as I'm concerned. But why is this happening now? Because mind you, the SEC has to approve the Bitcoin ETF, and they have not approved any ever. This would be the first one ever if it's approved. And it's well understood that BlackRock is the most connected firm out there just about on the planet because, again, they're the world's largest asset manager. So in terms of connections at the highest level of governments, including at the United States, buddy. So wouldn't be surprising at all to see them actually get approved, although of course it will seem very shady, and it likely would be. And even if you find BlackRock slimy and disgusting, and I say fair enough if so, I'm just saying we're just trying to get ours out here, right? We're just living our lives out here, trying to make the best financial decisions for ourselves and our families. This is a good position to be in so far as I'm concerned. But anyway, plenty of breakdown. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so just as a quick little bit of table setting here, here's a headline from CoinDesk from June 13th. U.S. judge rebuffs SEC request for Binance U.S. asset freeze for now. And I'm going to be super quick on this, trying to set the table like I said, but the SEC, of course, I'm sure you're aware, SEC has sued Binance and Binance US, and one of the slimy things that the SEC tried to do right out the gate was destroy Binance US. And that's not an overstatement. They're trying right out the gate, trying to destroy Binance US. How? By setting a restraining order on them so that all of the assets on the platform would be frozen. So that would mean that if you have assets on Binance US, if the SEC got their way, they would be stuck there and you couldn't move them. They would be harming investors. That's the way I view it anyway. I think most of us would probably agree on that. Now, the good news is the judge in this case just wasn't having it. I mean, she was clearly, by all reports, and I went into great detail when I reported on this a few days ago, she seemed pretty grossed out and disgusted by the behavior of multiple attorneys on the SEC side in this case. And in fact, part of what was stated, let me go, this is the good part. Oh, I love this part right here. Yeah, check this out. At times, this is from CoinDesk, at times the judge seemed frustrated by the responses she was hearing when asking whether any Binance US customer funds had actually left the US, after multiple SEC attorneys said they were mainly concerned about the fact that Binance's global platform controlled enough private keys key shards to move funds. And here's the quote from the judge, and I love this. I want to know if it's happening or not. It's stunning that I've asked each of you this, end quote. So the judge obviously losing some patience, and forget it, but this is why I was saying at the outset of the video, this is what we keep seeing again and again and again. We've seen it in the SEC v. Ripple case, we saw it in the Voyager case, the Grayscale case, we're seeing it here with the Binance case. These people are not acting in good faith, and it's not going to help them win cases. Just saying. So then you get to the latest news here. So this is the latest from CoinDesk. Judge signs off on Binance SEC deal to move all U.S. customer funds, wallet keys back onshore in lieu of restraining order. A federal judge signed off on a temporary agreement between the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, global crypto exchange Binance, and its U.S. affiliate to have Binance U.S. take steps to ensure only local employees can access customer funds as the regulator and companies work through an SEC lawsuit. The parties announced a deal late Friday to ensure that only Binance U.S. employees can access customer funds in the short term, which Judge Amy Berman Jackson of the District Court for the District of Columbia signed early Saturday. The judge also ordered the parties to begin proposing timelines for the broader lawsuit. Oh, folks, aren't you happy that we as XRP holders, we're at the tail end of our journey? I mean, unless there's appeals, finger crossed, please no appeals, please no appeals. I hope that's not necessary. I don't want this thing to go to the Supreme Court. Although if we do, I'm still optimistic, big win if we get there, based on the current makeup of the Supreme Court. But now here you have Binance at the beginning of this. This is going to go on for years, man. Anyway, piece continues. According to the proposed agreement, Binance US will take steps to make sure that no officials from Binance Holdings, the global exchange, have access to private keys for wallets or hardware wallets, or root access to Binance US's Amazon Web Services tools. The US-based crypto trading platform will share detailed information about its business expenses, including estimated costs, in the coming weeks. Now, here's what attorney James Murphy had to say about this. He goes by Meta Lawman all up on the Twitters. He wrote, "Breaking. SEC and Binance agree on order securing U.S. customer assets." I would put this in the win column for the Binance defendants. The consent order is very close to what Binance offered to the SEC at the outset. So think about this, folks. This is close to what Binance offered from the beginning, but the SEC was like, yeah, we just want to destroy your business, though. Temporary restraining order so that all of your customer assets can't move. Which is what it would have done. Can you imagine? What would that have done in terms of confidence and the viability and safeness of that platform if it's just suddenly shut down because of the United States government? What do you think? They were literally trying to destroy the business right out the freaking gate here. But Binance, major win here, ended up getting what they wanted. Anyway, attorney Murphy continues. The important thing is, this is a consent decree and not a temporary restraining order. Why does that matter? This means the judge will not make an early determination that the SEC has a substantial likelihood of success on the merits if the case were to proceed to trial. The case will move forward with no early court determination that BNB or any other asset on Binance platforms is likely to be a security. Good job by the Binance legal team. And in the end, the SEC acted reasonably in coming to this agreement. Yeah, after they, that's true. And I appreciate his perspective. He is right. I do agree. So they acted reasonably in coming to that agreement after being completely unreasonable and trying to destroy Binance US. Just like days earlier. What a bunch of asshat pricks. These just disgusting people. So then we go to Eleanor Terrett's source here, Fox Business journalist, and she wrote, new, from an industry insider in response to the judge's Binance SEC temporary restraining order ruling. And look at it here, I'll just make this full screen and read this to you. So this is from the industry insider. He said, Binance put out a restrained public response to the temporary restraining order ruling out of respect for the judge, but they are celebrating what is a crushing defeat for the SEC. Rarely are government agencies denied a temporary restraining order by the courts. Judge Berman holding the SEC's feet to the fire on not having the evidence to suggest funds have been misused sends a clear message to regulators across the globe that the SEC doesn't have the goods to substantiate their most damaging allegations, end quote. Whew. And so that's what I'm saying, folks. Just in every damn case this year that I can't think of one where there's an exception. It's just overreach after overreach, and then just completely disingenuous approaches to these lawsuits again and again and again. And And it was interesting because me not having a legal background, I wasn't aware that, most temporary restraining orders actually get approved, because you'd assume if you're a government agency, hopefully most of the time, if you're not the SEC at least, you're operating in good faith. And so if something like this needs to happen, there needs to be some sort of temporary restraining order. You've got some evidence, and then it just gets approved. It's a rarity for it not to get approved, and I didn't know that because, again, no background in law here. That's fascinating. So I can see why they're saying, crushing defeat here. And this speaks to the degree to which the SEC is tremendously overreaching. Love to see it. This is a disgusting organization from the top down. It just is. But the good news is, our court system here in the United States tends to work. I'm very optimistic, very genuinely. Attorney Bill Morgan retweeted that from Eleanor Turret and wrote the following. It was a great result because Binance had the sound strategy of offering the judge a proposal they would agree to rather than the severe orders the SEC sought. Spot on. And speaking of other SEC nonsense, let's switch gears to BlackRock here because they got their mitts on this potentially. Well, I mean, they're definitely going to have a say on this because it's the SEC that would approve an ETF. But look at the headline here. So again, it's a Bloomberg analyst outlines theories on BlackRock's move to file Bitcoin ETF. Here's his outlook. A Bloomberg analyst is sharing theories on what motivated the world's largest investment management company to file for a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, ETF for short. On Thursday, BlackRock filed a request with the SEC for the iShares Bitcoin Trust. The investment vehicle, which is designed to track the underlying market price of Bitcoin, aims to give investors exposure to the leading crypto asset without directly buying it. And so, folks, it's hard to overstate how important this is. It really is. Even for us as XRP, so even if you're like me and XRP is your largest holding, it's the one that you're most interested in, this is important for us because Bitcoin drives the market. It just does. And so in this case, you're talking about people, maybe they know of crypto, they haven't really jumped in yet. They're like, oh, I want to buy crypto. What, I have to do this Coinbase thingy? What, I got to get these separate exchanges? And, those are barriers to entry, effectively. Not that they couldn't do it, but to what degree do humans have interest in doing that if they're just in their world of legacy finance? They're just, trading on NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. But if you have an exchange-traded fund that you can purchase, and it's backed by actual Bitcoin, so first of all, that impacts the actual price of Bitcoin because BlackRock would have to be purchasing the Bitcoin, and then you get just a ton of people coming in, having access to Bitcoin without having to sign up for a new account. Yeah. What do you think's going to happen? I think, especially in the long term, it'd be dramatic in terms of the supply-demand dynamics, how positive that would be. And by the way, I'll mention this too. It may take a while. It will take a while. But so there will be a Bitcoin ETF. And this is probably going to be the first one that ever gets approved. That's my for-fund guess. We'll see. But there's going to be other cryptos that have ETFs also. And I don't see why XRP wouldn't in the future also. People will have access to XRP, exposure to it. That'd be a more appropriate word. Just have exposure to it because they can purchase at some point in the future, I'm guessing, an XRP ETF. And it will have to be backed by actual XRP because that's how this particular investment vehicle works. And again, it's just so fascinating knowing that when XRP hit its all-time high half a decade ago, there were, at the beginning of the run, there were, a little less than 700,000 accounts. You're talking about a fraction of a percent of all humans on the planet that had ever held XRP at any point in time, and then they pushed it up to, almost $4. A fraction of a percent of humans. What do you think's going to happen, as crypto continues to get adopted? This is why this is all highly impactful. And I still think, a lot of this stuff, it looks like it's probably some real slimy stuff going on behind the scenes here in terms of favoritism and the government picking winners and losers here. But still, it's the world we live in. I'm just going to do what I can to try and get mine. I think you guys are doing the same. We're just trying to look out for ourselves and our families. But, man, freaking SEC. So, anyway, Peace continues. In a new interview with Luke Martin, Bloomberg senior ETF analyst Eric Balkunas, I might be saying that right, I don't know, says that the SEC could be favoring institutions like BlackRock to be the key player in the digital asset space rather than crypto exchanges. And here's a quote. There's more speculation that the SEC actually wants to create winners and losers in this and sort of show that the future is more BlackRock than Binance or crypto exchanges, and have BlackRock maybe even drive some of this moving of crypto from the locals to the mainstream companies that have law ears all over, then that follow all the rules. It matches up with the SEC's recent moves towards some of these exchanges and sort of regulating, because there's no real framework yet. They're more just targeting the problems they see, end quote. And so look, I think that this is one of the greatest affirmations of what I think most of us already believe in terms of long-term viability of crypto. And I still say specifically XRP because that's the crypto I'm most interested in. It's my heaviest bag. It just is, for a lot of reasons that I've been articulating for half a decade at this point. But I just, you see BlackRock jumping. What are you supposed to think here? Like, crypto's going to zero? Like, what, are you kidding me? How about the opposite of that? It's going to be worth substantially more in the future. Like, these people, I'm telling you, they wouldn't be doing this if they weren't fully confident that this is a thing that's here to stay. And it is here to stay. Peace continues. Balkunas says that BlackRock's move may also be in anticipation of an upcoming resolution of the legal dispute between Grayscale and the SEC, which arose after the regulator denied the digital asset manager's application to convert its Bitcoin trust to an ETF. Yeah, so just a quick rundown in case you missed this, because I've been talking about this a bit over the last couple days. But Grayscale, the most recent filing for a Bitcoin ETF was denied. Then they sued the SEC for that denial. And we'll see what comes of that. But in the meantime, what you see here is that BlackRock, they literally, we knew this as of like August of last year, BlackRock copied Grayscale's business model. They created, because Grayscale had their Bitcoin trust. Well, BlackRock ended up creating effectively the same thing. And then behind the scenes, the theory is that, that they would then convert that to an ETF. So the same strategy that Grayscale had, right? And that's what Grayscale's been trying to do, convert the Bitcoin trust to an ETF. Okay, well, now Grayscale got denied. They're suing the SEC, and BlackRock just happens to swoop in right now? Really? Interesting. So check out this quote. The other theory is whether BlackRock knows that the SEC might lose the Grayscale case, and they're going to front-run that or be ready when the case gets lost, and then all of a sudden that opens the door to Bitcoin ETFs. That one I'm a little less keen on, end quote. And fair enough, that's his perspective. I'm keen on that one. To me, that makes a ton of sense. I don't think it's some sort of coincidence that BlackRock's jumping in right now while this Grayscale lawsuit's going in, and we already saw the judge excoriate the asshat prick SEC attorneys in that case as well. I covered that at the time months ago when that was in the news. So then BlackRock happens to come into this. Come on. I have a hard time believing that one. I frequently critique people for too easily connecting the dots, but this one, come on, man. I think that this one's pretty reasonable to speculate on in this way. But either way, so the cool thing is, even though I think it's awful that Grayscale being the pioneers in this space for this particular product, if they don't get to have that ETF and BlackRock beats them to it, I think that's awful. That seems just unfair on the surface at a minimum. I'd probably say much stronger things about that. But the good news is for us here in crypto, as long as we keep going in this direction, eventually there is a Bitcoin ETF. We still win. There'll probably be multiple Bitcoin ETFs in the future. And it doesn't mean that Grayscale couldn't have one. They just might not be first to market if this goes BlackRock's way. So we'll see. But again, there are so many reasons to be optimistic. You're talking about the end of the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. You're talking about us being increasingly getting further and further away from the bottom of the bear market. BlackRock jumping in here. It's a good time to be in crypto. It just is. I mean, it always sounds scary on the surface, and there's always scary sounding headlines, but man, I'm having a great time. What about you? Despite all this nonsense. I'll tell you what, at a minimum, at least it's never boring. It's definitely never boring. I'll tell you that. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.